Yo, what's up, Biomutant here, back again with war number 6, as well as Smoke is back again in tier 1, no, it's tier 2, yikes, because we're losing the wars in tier 1, just as we come into tier 1, so we're back in tier 2, but we are facing an alliance who is most often in tier 1 as well, because it's new Avengers, basically a Master Alliance. I think especially this season, last season we also saw some glimpses that there are a lot of serious alliances that are trying to make a master push, or like gather some like master tier players, or they know that they can compete. And yeah, there are really some very good master, or well, high plat 1 alliances that are pushing out the regulars in master, or the other way as well, like of course. um, but yeah, anyways, I'm just gonna play my game, as is the entire Alliance of Smoke. And I'm here on at 6 in Section 1, which is the Aggression Fury. Um, is this Strikeback as well here? I think so. Either way, it is Protect Global, it's Hulkbuster, he's metal, he's not armor break immune. So yeah, it's just a max fight. Even if he's armor break immune, max is just fine. Um, but yeah, the SP3s don't trigger protect, so my heavies can trigger it. So often I do opt to choose for to intercept. Like when I get them in the corner, I do a medium light dash back intercept to get rid of the protection stack. But yeah, those metal fights are mostly over in 1 SP3 with Magneto, or the bleed after, if that would be the case. Then we got the Nick Fury, and this is the SP1 Powerfocus Power Alternator node. So yeah, nothing special really. If I need to, I can throw my special so he doesn't get too much power. Um, but yeah, even then, because I'm not hitting him too much, I'm also not giving myself too much power for him to steal. So I just need to be careful if I have an SP3 and the timer is close, or he has an SP1 and I have an SP2, then maybe I have to watch out. Here I do it because I thought maybe yeah, here I can get a little bit of lifesteal instead of giving him power. Which maybe I think it would have been better to give him the power to push him to an SP2. Well, I say that, but it's Powerfocus 1, and I think Power Alternator works that way, that the power he steals also is reduced when he has more than a bar of power. So yeah. So even though it was not at all a hard fight, I actually played it not that well because I threw SP1s, which I took recoil damage from running suicides, and I didn't heal too much because I didn't have above 10 spores, yeah, to regen from basically. So yeah, lost some health from recoil, but that doesn't matter too much. Then we got Wasp on the end of pad mini, which is also the power alternator, and I think does it also have heavy hitter? I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, this is a super easy fight. First of all, Wasp is metal, but she's a small champion. She probably should be an extra small champion if that existed, right? So there's no protect, there's nothing stopping me from doing absolutely mad lad damage with my boy Magneto. Um, I did use a special there because there's no power focus or something, so I did throw my special one. Maybe hoped because she's so squishy that she would die, but I didn't have like the max prowess as I could have had. Either way, it was a pretty chill section 1, I would say. No Mixmaster Cork or maybe an NF, whatever. Um, not this war, so straight into section 2 we got Immortal Hulk on like the power suppression one, where you need to alter your combo if you want to use specials. And I say specials, actually it's only your special one you can use them. But yeah, Omega Red, he doesn't need specials. So the only thing here I want to be careful about, or I want to focus on not messing up, is when he becomes unblockable, getting maybe caught, or when you can't hit him in his regen phase. As well, hoping he doesn't out regen me. But well, actually me. What I mean that he out heals my damage. but there's no enhanced healing node or whatever, so the fight's going pretty fast. He has like his 50 or almost, yeah, he had 55, 56 or whatever of his self-inflicting rage stacks. Actually, I don't know the name. I should probably look it up before saying something stupid, but he regen like 40% health, and I lost my spores, but that's not bad either, because I'm pretty sure I can finish this fight. I mean, look, it's only a minute has passed, so you can do this fight with Omega Red without suicide, just being at 10 spores and reapplying the degen. It is completely possible. But as you did see, I did get clipped trying to get an intercept off, because I wanted to trying to reapply my my spores before he got the regen phase, which I failed because I got clipped in an intercept, which is I mean, looking at the last few wars, it's been pretty bad with my intercepts, so I need to be careful with that. Here I had the option to use Omega Red or Magneto, and I was kind of debating what I wanted to do, but because I don't want to bleed Omega Red, so I don't want to use special ones with Magneto, but I know he can do the fight with just heavies, because basically any champ can do this fight on this node against Omega Red, and if you're a robot, even better, because you don't need to kind of play around his spores building on you, right? So, because as you saw, I did a heavy and then I dashed back to make sure he doesn't have 10 spores on me, because even that can also be lots of damage already, as well as this was my last Magneto fight, so that's also why I used Magneto. I didn't want to get chip damage with Omega Red, because I have minis to do with him still. So yeah, this is actually a very boring SP1 bait, just heavy. Sometimes I heavy charge, which there is no reason to do that. Yeah, there is no reason to do that, because I'm not throwing a special. I trigger protection stack here, but even then I'm playing very slow, because even with this protection on, the fight will still be done, right? And then also why I didn't use Omega Red is because I want to be close to him to get high spores upon him, but I also don't want to be close to him because of his spores building up on me. But looking at this fight, Omega Red definitely would have been faster, because what you do is you get your spores up and you apply the degen, and then you create some space to not get to 10 spores on yourself from the enemy Omega Red. So that fight, if you have 10 spores applied with the degen, right, because let's say because of spacing you can't get higher than 10 or 15 spores maybe. I think early on you can probably get to 30 or to 25, 20 spores. Yeah, he would have been faster. But I was thinking this is a very risk-free. Now, I need to be careful this war with my decision making, because this was a very close war. We knew that from the start, but also at this stage, it's like I think we are a dead behind, or no, I think we were actually maybe not at this stage, but we were actually more behind. Like a little bit like the AGT Graphite war, last war, where you would think like, okay, they won't die anymore and it's over, but they actually did, and yeah, I can say it now already that that at a certain stage there was a draw going on basically, and we had like 12 fights left and they had 10 fights left. So you would think in their camp, right, if we would call it like that, they were saying like, okay, just don't mess up and we got this. Same for us, of course, but yeah, we were not in the leading position basically. I think we were dead behind, and then maybe at a certain stage there was a draw. Or I thought it was a draw, but someone timed out on a fight, and timeout, that's, yeah, they show way later on. It's not updated immediately. So this Manting fight, when he's below 50% and he throws a special, he gets a regen. So here, yeah, early on I just want to get a lot of spores on. unfortunately, I couldn't. I wanted to reset my degen before he threw that special, because here I was losing spores. And then I got clipped, and that was totally my bad. I was trying to yeah, dash back, but instead of like tactically just swiping back and maybe dexing or whatever, even though I don't want to dex that much if he runs MD, which I actually didn't notice or didn't know during this fight. Um, um, I I yeah, I dashed like aggressively back twice, and he caught me in that dash back, which was totally my fault. Um, but then I thought, well, look at that. I almost finished on a yellow bar of power, or my SP3 got me to a full yellow bar of power. And then I wanted to end with the SP1, thinking that might KO him, but it didn't. So I still took the recoil damage. Then we move on to the Killmonger fight, and yes, last war you saw it was super fast. Um, I would also say super easy, just you can't reparry or get cornered. But besides that, the fight goes very fast and looks pretty easy as well. But I also had a Terrax mini fight after, and I didn't have energy. I didn't have pre-fight from White Max, so that was also a little bit. I was thinking I want to use bigger boosts on, so I was thinking of waiting to do this fight as well, because then I could take this fight and Terrax with a 30% boost, because as you saw on my boost screen, I only had like a 10%. But then I was thinking, well, it's a close war, so this is what I mean with my decision making. Maybe it was bad, but looking at how fast it went last time, and I looked at his sig as well to see like if I would take massive reverb damage or not if I do like a light attack when he has 2 bars of power. But he wasn't that high sig. I was thinking, man, this fight will go just like maybe 10 seconds slower. Well, I didn't check actually now, so maybe I'm waffling, but look at still, it's under a minute, or maybe just add a minute with 28 hits, and the fight is done. So yeah, I was very happy with that result in that fight. Um, so I know that for the future as well. Maybe in a not so close war, or yeah, a rank 5 Killmonger or whatever, a rank 2 Killmonger, that I don't need to use a 30% boost to be sure. I did use a regen boost because I knew, well, I lost that 5% recoil, I am taking block damage at the start, and I still had this fight to go. So yeah. Now for this fight, we didn't have a White Max pre-fight anymore, so I know that I can't bypass Limber, but you can heavy counter Terrax. If it's in the middle of the screen, it's actually pretty easy. If it's in the corner, it's actually sometimes in many matchups it's actually better. But actually with Omega Red versus Terrax it isn't, or with some champs it isn't, because if he has a special, he can actually launch that special before your heavy connects. He can also dash back, which means that if he dashes back twice, your heavy also whiffs, right? The only time you will connect your heavy if he doesn't perform any action or he comes at you after his heavy finishes. But yeah, so that's why I was kind of backing up, but not entirely backing up in the corner, just to build up my spores very high. I had a regen boost here, so the first kind of passive damage he was dealing because of his rock field state, because of the dupe, I healed it back up. Then the second time he threw a special, well, the regen expired, but I didn't take too much of that passive degen damage. What I did take was some blocked hits, because again I wanted to deal passive damage. I was still above 10 spores. I didn't need to reapply my degen. I actually wanted to, but he wasn't playing ball with me. He wasn't throwing his heavy. But yeah, one less hit than the Killmonger fight even. Just, I guess, a little bit more damage of the passive damage, and the blocked hits when he is applying those armor breaks. He will hit harder through the block as well. But yeah, not too difficult, even without White Max. With White Max it would have been way easier because I could freely reapply my degen. But yeah, at this stage I was thinking we were winning. Of course we have 2 fights more than them to to finish fully. We have 12 fights left. They had 10 fights left, and I was thinking we had one death less, but one timeout death technically wasn't or wasn't showing yet. So it was actually we were drawing. So at this stage we were thinking, well, it either ends in a draw or we will mess up in one more fight or whatever. It's a draw or a loss basically. Um, but it wasn't. We did win. Yeah, very exciting. They did mess up another time, um, and we didn't. We didn't in 12 fights. They did in 10 fights, and we took the victory, which is very good because this was a tier 2 war. It felt like a tier 1 war, of course, this nail biting ending, but it's a tier 2 war, so this pushes us back into tier 1, and I think mostly this will be how it's how our season will go. We will go in tier 1 and we will have a hard matchup, and we'll go back down into tier 2, and in tier 2 we will also have a hard matchup, but we'll clutch these wars. Um, but yeah, maybe we clutch a tier 1 war as well. That's all to be seen in the next couple of wars. But yeah, very exciting. We got the win, and hopefully the next war as well, and so on, of course, every war. But yeah, I'll see you then for those wars. Bye.